This is Bernard McGurk.
So, Bernie.
This is Sid Rosenberg.
The one and only Sid.
Live, local, on it.
You never know what's going to happen.
Exclusively.
Bernie and Sid.
77 WABC.
You can see Bill Clinton at the Democratic Convention where he introduced his new campaign slogan, I'm with her, and her, and her, and you $2.
Very funny.
And I tell you, that Donald Trump, he is a smart businessman. When kids rang his bell and yelled trick or treat, Trump yelled trick, and before the kids could grab any candy, declared bankruptcy. Boom, just like that.
That's really funny. Jay Leno at his very best.
Always funny.
We're playing that, of course, because coming up live on this program in about 3 minutes, about to perform at the Wellmont Theater here in New Jersey, the great Jay Leno coming on with me and Bernard to start off your second hour of the program. So that's pretty exciting.
Very exciting. And briefly before we get to that, this morning Mr. Imus interviewed Bill O'Reilly and his co-author. They have a new children's book out. Yesterday, O'Reilly was on CBS This Morning, and he was promoting the book, and they sort of ambushed him about Megyn Kelly's book, this, that, the other. He didn't take kindly to it. Take a listen to this.
No, it's a very tough book environment. We'll see if people respond to it. But I have not read it, but it's not a diss. I mean, it just came out, so I don't, I'll look at it.
She's not going to be on your show talking about it?
I don't know. I mean, we'll see if she's going to be on the show or not.
It's called the O'Reilly.
But I want to be very candid here. I'm not that interested in this.
No?
No, I mean, it's
sexual harassment? You're not interested in sexual harassment?
I'm not interested in basically litigating something that is finished that makes my network look bad. Okay? I'm not interested in making my network look bad at all. That doesn't interest me one bit.
Is that what she's doing?
I don't know.
You're not interested in sexual harassment? What's wrong with you?
Wow.
Like that, I mean,
I like Nora, though. I like Nora and still...
I like her as well. But
I like Bill, too.
Look, and it was Gail King, and it was the rest of them.
Charlie
but
Rose.
It was a total sandbag job. Now, listen, Mr. Imus, as I mentioned, interviewed Mr. O'Reilly and Patterson this morning.
And it was excellent, let me say that.
It really was top. As the I-Man does. That's how he do. He do great interviews. Anyway, listen to what he said to Bill O'Reilly about Megyn Kelly's book.
This doesn't require comment from either one of you, but here's what's really great, is that Ainsley Earhart, who's a sweet girl, started out as an intern with my friend Hannity. Her book is number 3, Take Heart, My Child, A Mother's Dream, a note to her daughter, and has had zero promotion other than on the dopey Fox and Friends. And Megyn Kelly has been on everything with her hideous book, which is terrible, and it's only at number 5, and it'll quickly sink from there. So there's some justice in the world. I hate to be hateful, but
I don't have any beef. She runs her career, I run my career. But when a network is going to, as you absolutely accurately nailed it, trying to bait me to say bad things about my network, I am not going to do it.
Fair enough, Bill O'Reilly. And by the way, you were tremendous talking about the protesters, Bernard McGurk, on Bill O'Reilly last night. But with that said, we do have a very, very, very special guest on the line. Very excited to have this man about to perform Sunday, November the 20th at 8 p.m. at the historic and beautiful Wellmont Theater in Montclair, New Jersey. Say hello to the great Jay Leno. Jay, it's Bernie and Sid in New York. How are you, pal?
Young people, what's going on?
Not a whole hell of a lot. Jay Leno doing stand-up at the Wellmont Theater, as Sid just said, November 20th, Montclair, New Jersey. Jay, I have to ask you. I mean, listen, I was always a big Jay Leno fan. I hated what they did to you with Conan O'Brien. Glad you got the gig back, et cetera, et cetera. Now you're doing stand-up. You have the Jay Leno's Garage. But stand-up, you don't need the money. What Jay Leno just loves to get out there and make people laugh. Is that it?
I was a stand-up before I had the Tonight Show, and TV is always temporary. Sometimes it lasts 22 years, but it's still temporary. And, I was on the road 3 days a week when I was doing the Tonight Show, so now I'm just back on the road again. So
but some people hate that life. You love it, though.
No, it's fun. When you do something like the Tonight Show, you do different jokes in the same place every night. When you go on the road, you do the same jokes in a different place every night. But the difference is, a lot of times the frustrating thing about the Tonight Show is something would happen Monday afternoon, you do a joke on Monday night, and then Tuesday you go, I got a better gag. I can't do it. I can't elaborate. So the fun part is, you think of something on Monday, and then you try it Tuesday, and then you do it a different way Wednesday. And by the time Friday and Saturday comes, you've taken a one-liner and maybe turned it into a minute and a half or 2 minute story, and that's the part I really enjoy.
Jay Leno with Bernie and Sid. All right, here comes the most obligatory lame question. I'm sure you get it every single interview you do, Jay, but why should I be any different? So do you miss TV? Do you miss the daily grind?
No, I don't. I mean, I enjoyed it. I was lucky. I lived in an era when Clinton was horny and Bush was dumb. And it was what we call a simpler time. I'm sort of glad I wasn't in this one because, really? I mean, it's all about anti this and I hate this, and this is like the ugliest campaign.
Well, listen, you're right. It was visceral. There was a lot of vitriol, but you'd have to admit, Jay, you would have a lot of material every single day.
Yeah, you do, but ultimately there's a negative effect. I mean, look at the whole country. The whole country's like bummed out, and like I did a segment on Jay Leno's Garage. It premiered last Wednesday, and I had Joe Biden racing Colin Powell in Corvette, and the two of them were trash talking each other and just having fun. And the Washington Post wrote a really nice story saying, "Thank you, Jay Leno," it said, "just for having Republicans and Democrats talking to each other and having fun." And I used to love that era when Reagan and Tip O'Neill would scream at each other, and then they'd go out and they'd have a beer, and they'd sit in and they'd argue out their point of view, and everybody sort of had respect for one another. This is, it just is a little too ugly, and you kind of fall into that trap that if you have a late night show, everybody winds up doing the same Trump joke every night.
Right.
That's kind of what happens because that's the only thing that's out there. So in some ways, I was glad I was not so much in it this year.
Understood. Now, but your mantra, to your credit, has always been go for the punchline, go for the laugh, put politics second. And
well, to me, being a comedian is like being a lawyer. It's not whether your client is guilty or innocent. You have to defend them. But people hear what they want to hear. I was in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I would do a Hillary joke and then a Trump joke, and then a Hillary joke and a Trump joke, because I knew I was in an area that was pretty, 50-50.
Yeah.
So I made fun of each candidate. I said I had like the same number of jokes on each one, So then I'm back. I go out the back door, and there are people there. I often do want an autograph or picture. So, okay. And this lady says, "Can I have an autograph?" "Oh, sure." And she goes, "Well, I had kind of a bone to pick with you. I noticed you didn't do any Hillary jokes, just the Clinton jokes." I go, No, I did Hillary jokes. She goes, "Well, I didn't hear them." And then the lady behind her goes, "No, he did a bunch of Hillary jokes." She goes, "I didn't." And you realize people just hear what they want to hear.
Oh, there's no doubt. Listen, look what we do, Jay. We take phone calls all day from people all over New York, and we'll say something about one of the candidates, and they'll twist it in 90 different directions. I will ask you this, though. Who do you think would have provided you with more material? Which campaign, Clinton or Trump?
Well, I mean, it's the evil of two lessers. Well, I think Trump probably gives you more material.
Yeah.
It's fair to say. It is not... But, Republicans have always been funnier than Democrats because the weird thing is they don't take themselves as seriously. Whenever I would have George Bush on the show, he would always say, just have fun, Jay. You can make fun of me. Just do whatever you want. And I remember when I would have Al Gore on and stuff, I would run a bit by him, and they'd say, "Okay, that's fine." And then maybe 20 minutes later, someone would, we ran it past our people, and we're really not comfortable. I said, "Well, we're not saying anything." "Well, no, yeah, but we'd rather not." Okay. And it was always just sort of, everything went through committee, which is sort of interesting.
Speaking of Jay Leno on the Bernie and Sid show, he's going to be at the Wellmont Theater Sunday, November 20th, 8 p.m. out in Montclair, New Jersey. Jay Leno, to your point, Jimmy Fallon, I think he was he adhered to your mantra to go for the punchline and the laugh. And he had Trump on at one point, and he got slaughtered for not spitting in Trump's face. And a lot of the other guys engaged in advocacy comedy. It seemed.
Here's my thing. Jimmy has never pretended to be a political pundit or comedian. If he had been hard on Hillary and easy on Trump, that would be one thing. But it's essentially a light entertainment softball show. I remember, years ago, I reading an article about actually someone sent it to me when I took over the Tonight Show. It was from 1967 or 68, and it said, when is Jack Parr coming back? And Johnny Carson glossing over this and treating these things lightly. Parr always took seriously and spoke for a minute. Well, okay, but Johnny's ratings were 10 times what Parr was. And it's supposed to be a light entertainment show. That's what it is. No, I don't fault Jimmy. I mean,
not at all.
It's just a matter of as long as both sides are treated equally, I don't think anybody should go after him. I mean, like I said, if he had been nailing Hillary and easy on Trump, then obviously he's
right. If he was
Kimmel, I used to get that every week. When I would have a Republican on, well, I hope you and your Democratic friends are happy. And then when I have a Democrat on, well, you've shown your true roots with you. I mean, so you can't, as long as you piss off both sides equally, you're doing your job.
What do you think about this crop, Jay? Because when you were at the top of your game, it was a little vicious battle there between you and Letterman, obviously. And
actually, it really wasn't.
No, not in real life, but the media played it that way to make it more exciting. But I know it really wasn't. But you two guys were larger than life. What do you think about the crop now? This new crop?
I think everybody's really good. I think Seth Meyers is excellent. Colbert.
Really? No, you really think Seth Meyers is excellent? Honestly.
He's a really good joke writer.
Okay.
I mean, whether you agree with the politics, that's not the point.
He is an advocacy guy. That is true.
But what I'm saying is, he's a really good joke writer.
Yes.
And that's the only. How many lawyers do you hate that are really good at their job? You go, I hate that guy, but that's the guy I'd want defending me. So I mean, you realize Seth Meyers is doing this night after night, and something. The news doesn't change a whole lot from Monday to Friday, so you got to keep coming up with new jokes on basically the same subject. But whether you agree or disagree, I mean, he's really very clever, and he's an excellent political commentator. Whether you like the commentary or not, you cannot not admit that it's not funny.
Fair. And listen, Jay Leno, when you come back and you surprise everybody, you stand in for Jimmy Fallon, you do stand up, which you did a couple of weeks ago. We've been playing the jokes all morning. You kill it. You slay it.
Oh, it's great.
It's fantastic. So in that, let me ask you this: who do you think is more angry that Hillary lost, Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton?
Oh, good question.
Well, now Bill's going to be home. So
I know, right?
I did a joke. I think I did it on the show about one of my favorite ones was how Bill really didn't help Hillary on the campaign. At one point during the campaign swing, Bill stopped to kiss a baby, which is normally okay, except the kid was breastfeeding at the time.
that is not cool.
That's good.
That never happened.
That's good.
That's fine. Jay Leno, by the way, he's got Leno's Garage, the show. He's got his Big Dog Garage, which houses one of America's great collection of cars and motorcycles. The show is on CNBC, I believe, every week. Jay, I've watched it
Wednesday.
Every Wednesday, and I saw one. You actually did a rollover. I mean, you almost lost your life, for God's sakes.
Hey, but something that it's good for ratings, and that's important. That's the business we're in, fellas.
Anything for ratings, baby.
That's it.
So, yes, and Jay's going to be at the Wellmont Theater in Montclair, New Jersey. Now, Mr. Trump, he's going to be down at the White House. Is he going to paint his name all over it? He's going to gold plate the place like people have been saying? Or do you think he's actually going to tamp it down a bit and be...
Well, I love the gold chairs they were sitting in 60 Minutes. It's like... I thought they were in an Iranian palace.
Yeah, right. Like Saddam's palace or something, yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. But, he'll probably tamp it down a little bit. But something tells me he's not going to spend a lot of time. It'll be mostly Mar-a-Lago and Trump Tower and, maybe stop to take a whiz at the White House on his way from New York to Florida. I don't know.
Yeah, well, there you go. Take a whiz at the White. That's what we've come to now. We've come from the Gettysburg Address to stopping by to take a whiz.
Well, we had what's his name, Al Roker. He sharded his pants.
Yes, he
what
did.
Do you call it?
Yes, he sharded. That's right.
But so I mean,
I don't even know what that word means.
I don't either. I didn't even know it's the right word.
I thought shards were pieces of glass.
Well, it's close. It's close.
But, so anyway, he's providing these guys with a lot of material. Once they get over it, for example, Saturday Night Live, they couldn't bring themselves to do an opening this past Saturday. They were so upset.
McKinnon singing the Hillary Clinton, right, doing the Leonard Cohen song, right.
Some comedians were on the air crying, but they'll get over it and eventually get back to lampooning the president-elect of the United States, I would imagine.
But that's a great American tradition. I mean, that's what we do. I mean, that's what. I mean, just the fact that you have a peaceful transference of power. I mean, I give Obama kudos. Here's a guy you couldn't disagree with more, but he said, we're going to do this, and invited him to the White House. And I mean, that's basically what it is. I mean, that's the difference between us and these crazy countries where you see the parliament punching each other in the face and all that. I mean, as entertaining as that might be, it's ultimately pretty destructive. And even Dave Chappelle the other night on Saturday Night Live said we should give Trump a chance.
Yeah, he was great. He did say that. He was great. So on the way out here, again, go see Jay Leno this Sunday night. He's great, 8 p.m. at the historic Wellmont Theater in Montclair, New Jersey. I don't want to give away, you don't want to give away your act right here, right now, Jay, but I would imagine, obviously, the Trump-Clinton stuff. What else is in Jay Leno's stand-up act coming up on Sunday night?
Well, I mean, obviously, pop culture is a huge thing. But most well, we'll talk politics. We'll talk a lot of obesity in America. We got tons of stuff. We got.
Oh yeah.
You never run out of material in this country.
A lot of fatties still. I guess
they're going to be there.
I shouldn't say it that way. A lot of overweight folks out there too.
In the audience Sunday night.
Well, listen, Jay Leno. I've always loved you. I don't know where Sid comes down.
Huge fan.
I wish there was a place for you at night. Any chance of you coming back?
Well, there is. I'll be in the Wellmont Theater. Well, you know what it is? You can't come back with the same thing. This is why I went and did a car show. I mean, I did the Tonight Show for 22 years, and that was a lot of fun. And when you're 40 years old and you're talking to the 26-year-old supermodel, it's sexy. When you're 66, you're the creepy old guy.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And at some point, because you can never come back with the same amount of. When I did the Tonight Show, everything was paid for. By that I mean, over the years, the 18-piece band and the studio, it was all paid for, so everything was gravy. When you come back again, you got to start all over. Like I felt they never gave Arsenio a real chance because the budget was slashed to the point where he had like a half a dozen musicians, 2 or 3 writers, and that was the only budget they gave him to do the show. And the guy worked his heart out, but you got to write 14 minutes every single day.
That's tough.
And it's tough. And when a show looks smaller than the show you left, it never quite gets a chance.
Well, you're not going to come back in all likelihood, but how rewarding is it to know, Jay, that when they write the books in 50 years, and maybe chapter 1 will be Johnny Carson, but I got news for you. Chapter 2, probably you. How rewarding is that?
Well, I guess it's fine. In 50 years, I won't really care.
Right.
You know something, in 50 years, nobody will know who you are. I mean, that's sort of the fun. You know what? I had a bunch of people over, and we watched the movie Lawrence of Arabia. And a kid who was 26 said, that Peter O'Toole guy is pretty good. Has he ever done anything else? And I go, yeah, he's a big star. He had never heard the name.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like a porn star, but he had never heard the name.
O'Toole. That's funny.
On that up note, Jay, nobody will ever remember who the hell you are in 50 years.
And, hey, me, how about you guys?
Nice.
Oh, snap. Listen,
you think I'm screwed? You guys, oh, my God.
They don't remember. They won't remember us next week.
They're going to think it was a deli.
Jay Leno, Sunday night, November 20th at the Wellmont Theater, Montclair, New Jersey. We thank you and Godspeed, Jay.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
Hopefully. Back on Bernie and Sid after this.
77 WA.